Welcome back to the Ricky Mathews Show. I really enjoyed that time with Jeff Duncan. We're so lucky to have access to Jeff. He's such a good dude and so knowledgeable. I read a couple of quotes that I'm going to be sharing on my outdoor show, SuperTalk Outdoors, on Monday. And I just want to share one other, and it's from Winston Churchill. And I think this one hits home so well for I think so many people when we think about Memorial Day. Here's what Winston Churchill said. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. What a beautiful, beautiful thing to say. Winston Churchill, by the way, had an amazing way with words. That is no doubt about that. Now let's shift gears and move over to my friend Paige Roberts, who's the president and CEO of the Jackson County Chamber, who has really not been on my show in a while. I don't know how that's even possible. But anyway, Paige, how are you doing?
I am doing well, and I love to hear Winston Churchill quotes. My oldest son is named Winston. His grandfather is British. So we have a special connection to Sir Winston, and a way with words is putting it mildly, right? One of my favorites is about ending a sentence in a preposition. He said that was a situation up with which he would not put.
Oh, so interesting that you know that. Yeah, I've read a lot about Winston Churchill, and his leadership at such a critical time for our world was incredible. And the way that he expressed himself, he had a very unique way of expressing himself.
Yes, and after he'd had a few adult beverages, it apparently was even more creative and notable.
Yeah. Just powerful contributor to the world. So when he says never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few, boy, he really appreciated what that meant, didn't he?
Oh, yes. And Memorial Day is such a nice time to take a pause and reflect with thanksgiving for the men and women who put on the uniform and ensure our freedom and our way of life. There's a lot going on in America and a lot of strife, as we know, but it really is the best government structure and democracy in the country.
Yeah.
And, stopping to reflect on the people who protect our freedoms and the country as a whole is just nice. It's nice to do that.
You said in the country, but what you meant was in the world. That was but it's truly, we're so lucky. And, that's one of the reasons why I can't spend enough time with military leaders and others celebrating the military presence here in coastal Mississippi, from Stennis to Ingalls and all points in between. Certainly the Naval Construction Battalion Center and the CB, we call it the CB base, is the base for the Navy here in coastal Mississippi. But then, we often don't reflect enough about the Coast Guard and their contributions to coastal Mississippi. And of course, everyone is well aware of the multiple roles that Keesler Air Force Base has, the training facility that it has become, the hurricane hunters and the role that they have. I mean, I could just go on and on, but I can't, we can't say enough. Of course, the National Guard, Lord have mercy, the work that they have done and the work, the sacrifice that they have made in more recent conflicts. It's just, we're lucky to have their presence. They've added so much quality to coastal Mississippi and to Mississippi, and we cannot be thankful enough, not only for the role that they play, but that so many who have gone to distant conflicts, the ultimate price that they have paid. And this is, this Memorial Day weekend, I say Memorial Day weekend is an opportunity for us to look at that American flag and to see it for nothing more than thanks. For God's sake, thanks for those who have defended those stars and bars. Well, gosh, are they so important to us? I could just go on and on about it, but we're lucky, aren't we?
We are so fortunate. I was blessed this week to have attended the Gulf Coast Business Council Economic Symposium, and they awarded the first Rising Tide Award to first a CEO, but also a public office holder. And it was John Reed, who has been in the House of Representatives and is my neighbor, actually, for the last 30 years, also the House Appropriations Chair. And he talked about his time in the Navy, but then went on to be a community pharmacist for the rest of his career. But that when he sees an Arleigh Burke out on the waters, one of the ships built here at Ingalls, he stops to reflect on the people of South Mississippi who made that ship happen. And Carrie Wilkinson, the president of Ingalls, is also right now the head of the board for the Business Council. And she spoke about Ingalls building those ships as if their own families were sailing on them, because sometimes they are. And just, I think we're just such a hub of patriotism here on the coast for all the reasons you said, whether we're building the warships or we are protecting our coastal waters and those who enjoy them, or the Air Force, the hurricane hunters, the Seabees, the construction battalion. We are very rich in military, and I think you'd be hard pressed to find a more patriotic area of the country than we.
Yeah, Jamie Miller, as you well know, is the CEO of the Gulf Coast Business Council. He actually broke the news of those award recipients here on my show. And Cammie actually is working. You can actually help Cammie. In fact, I'll help you. I'll position you as an intermediary. But I would love to I want to get John on my show, John Reed on my show, to tell his whole story. And so I'm not sure that he pays close attention to what this show is all about, but we've got to get him on so that we can tell his story.
Oh, and I'll mention it to him this weekend when I see him in the yard, because I believe his time in the Navy was as a diver. Which was, I think, a precursor to the SEALs. You'll have to ask him about that when you have him on. But John has seen a lot, and he brings a lot of experience and wisdom to his role representing us up in Jackson.
Well, one of the things I said to Jamie, talking about sort of the state of the economic situation that you attended, is that you can't go to where you want to go if you don't know where you are now. So there are things to celebrate for sure, but there are challenges as well. And we have to be honest about what our challenges are. And we have to rally around the things that we should celebrate. But the fact is that if we don't all look at the same data and be real about what it tells us about where the challenges and the opportunities are, then we're really not going to advance the ball for coastal Mississippi the way that it needs to be advanced. So, what impressions did you have coming out of that event?
Well, first of all, I had never witnessed an economist who was so darn funny.
Right, for sure.
It was almost an oxymoron that he was part stand-up comic and part economist, because those two things rarely go together. But as you said, data is only as good as the story that is told using it. And the story he told was a very positive one. It was not doom and gloom. And he had a lot of data and historical data to back it up. And he talked about, this is Peter Raschuti, we're talking about, the professor at Tulane. he talked about that we are not in inflation or recession rather.
Yeah.
We're not in a recession, and he doesn't see us getting there. And I have a close friend who has a similar background to Peter, and he tells me the same thing. So it's you and I are former journalists, and I love journalism as it truly is and can be, but the media isn't always painting a picture through the lens of an subject matter expert, and this was through the lens of what I would call a subject matter expert.
So when we get on the other side, we'll get the other impressions that she had from sort of the state of the economy, sponsored by the Gulf Coast Business Council. We'll see you after this with Paige Roberts. Welcome back to the final segment with my friend Paige Roberts, the president and CEO of the Jackson County Chamber of Commerce, and we were talking about sort of the state of the economy event that was just held by the Gulf Coast Business Council. And it was good to hear what you said about sort of, it ain't so bad. And you're right. We're in an election year. Politics are just kind of causing us to have a big tug of war. Some had to make it look worse than it is, and some had to make it look better than it is. And always going to be somewhere in between. What was your impression about what Jamie shared about the coast economy?
Oh, well, I was texting some of my friends about, thank God for Jamie Miller. I mean, what a great time to hear him speak about his 12-3-1 idea, which he probably brought up on your show before, but just to give everyone an opportunity to understand those numbers. 12 unique cities, 3 incredible counties, and 1 fabulous coast. 12-3-1. I think we should use them as lottery numbers.
Yeah, right. I'm with you 100%. But yeah, it's right. So again, your impression is, well, I won't say what your impression. What is your impression of what you heard him say?
Well, my impression was the same as what I heard him say heard from Peter on the national level, and that is that we are as strong as ever. We are very resilient as a people, and we fought hard through the pandemic, and we are doing well. And as you know, the CEO winner was Ocean Aero, and what a fabulous story that is, that they come from California and relocate their headquarters to South Mississippi. I mean, of course, Ocean Aero should be here on the Gulf Coast with USM's Ocean Sciences School and our blue economy and the people. And that is what we've said. We come back to this, Ricky, almost every show. It is our people that attract others, not from here to come here and stay here.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about the Ocean Aero story is that Mark Henderson, he and his wife Leslie started the first brewery in Mississippi and helped get the laws changed and all that. But Mark also owned this company called Log Linear Group, where he holds multiple very sophisticated radar patents, et cetera. Had been working with Ocean Aero in California prior to their coming here, and now he's working with them here. But all these dots connect. But it's so cool to see this amazing, innovative company here doing their work. And again, Mark Henderson continues to surprise, with what he's doing and how he's doing it. And he's just so darn smart. But we're fortunate to have companies like them. And what it does is it really, as you mentioned it, but it brings to clear focus the whole notion around the blue economy and how we're so positioned to take advantage of these opportunities because of where we are and the kind of innovation that's happening here. So it's very cool stuff, very cool stuff. So you leave there with a pretty positive impression about kind of where we are and where we're headed.
Yes, and again, the numbers to back it up. And I'm not well versed in all of the GDP and the S&P and all the letters that go with finance. Although I am a letter girl, not those letters.
Yeah.
But to look at the trends and to see very clearly that we are doing well, and we as I want to back up just a minute to what you were talking about, the politics. One of the takeaways I had was what he said about do not make your investment decisions based on your politics.
Yeah. Yeah, I will go for sure. Is that? Yeah.
I think that people are infusing every facet of their lives by their politics, and it's part of what's keeping us so polarized and irrational.
Hey, listen, I had a wonderful visit with Mayor Willis recently, also Mayor Holloway. I can't meet with Mayor Knight enough. My mother has actually been in rehab at Singing River, so I've been driving through Pascagoula and Moss Point on a regular basis, and I love Moss Point and what's this quaint little city and this river city and what the potential is and whatever. But it's interesting. No matter who I talk to in that realm, they always bring your name up. The work that you're doing to help them in so many different ways. And what I want to do is, Paige, and within the next week or so, I'm going to have you back, and we're going to get into some details about some of the work that you're doing in the trenches these days. We're just kind of out of time today, but I wanted to visit with you and get caught up a little bit, and we'll get back to some chamber work the next time we talk.
Yes. Well, thank you. I look forward to that.
Absolutely. This has been Paige Roberts from the Jackson County Chamber. Hey, listen, have a great weekend. Enjoy, be safe over the Memorial Day weekend, but remember what it's all about. Give thanks. Have a great weekend, and we will see you on Monday.